Alright, here's the scene. It's the 2nd of August, year 2004, a true golden age for the first-person shooter genre. The third game in the mother of all shooters, Doom, is preparing its release on the following day. Now, you're a young adult wizard of the Doom series, having wasted most of your important time dedicated to mastering the original two games. And now you're on the edge of your seat, clutching your tiny Cacodemon doll in anticipation, just praying that the hours will pass quickly enough so you can purchase your CD copy and run it on your brand new gaming rig. Yes, Doom 3 is certainly a famous title amongst the many big names of 2004's shooter market. Starting its development in year 2000, id Software's plan was to reboot the original Doom game, a controversial decision at the time. Still, id paved the way using their brand new id Tech 4 engine, featuring advanced dynamic lighting graphics, interactable physics, and a whole plethora of other features that were considered cool back in the day. Now, Doom 3 has been with us for well over a decade now, but let's jump ahead a bit to discuss the release of the latest Doom title, published by Bethesda. You'd think that the latest entry of the series would be far more topical, and I won't say that you're incorrect. The truth is, I don't intend to keep up with the buzz and play Doom 4 at the present moment. Why? Two reasons. One, I'm not shelling out $80 for a game I'm not even sure I'll enjoy. Yes, I'm aware I could just refund my copy if I'm not satisfied with the product, but even I have standards when it comes to how much I'm paying for the price of just one video game. And two, my PC has been aging, and it might not be very well optimized for the graphical fidelity that Doom 4 presents. I'm considering some upgrades by the end of the summer, but I'm not gonna make any guarantees on whether or not I'll review this game. See reason number 1. Of course, this may also raise the question of why I'm not covering Doom 3's predecessor, but to be honest, I think we can all agree that everything about the original DOSBox Dooms has been said and done. If you want my opinion, well, alright, here's my review of the original Doom games in 30 seconds or less. The Union Aerospace Corporation stationed on Mars gets attacked by demons, leaving Larry the security guard as the only Marine still left alive. Larry destroys anyone who stands in his path with a vast inventory of weapons, taking the fight straight to hell and back to Earth, thus saving humanity. Gameplay revolves around fast movement and strafing past enemy projectiles, causing infighting, collecting keycards, and rocking it out to Bobby Prince's glorious Metallica chiptunes. Doom can be played on your toaster oven or graphing calculator. It's a pretty cool game. Besides, I feel as though Doom 3 carries an important legacy which we ought to be reminded of. While it held the title of being id Software's best-selling game at the time, and while critics did praise it for its technological advancements in the world of PC shooters, Doom 3 holds the status of being a black sheep of the series. And why is that exactly? Well, let's not waste any more time. Ladies and imps, I present to you Doom 3. Deviating from the walls of text of the olden days, Doom 3 actually has a story to help piece itself together. You take on the role as a Marine being stationed on Mars, working for the Union Aerospace Corporation. The nameless Marine has been assigned as a replacement for one who went missing. How did the other one go missing? Noodle incident. There you go. Accompanying the Marine on arrival is UAC Counselor Swan and his bodyguard, Campbell, who are investigating a series of incidents leaked by the members of the facility's Delta Labs. Swan was authorized by the UAC's board of directors to keep an eye on the administrator, Dr. Betruger. Hey, guess who the villain of the game is? Meanwhile, after reporting to Command HQ with no distractions, the Marine is given his first assignment by Sergeant Kelly. His first mission is to locate a scientist who has gone missing, last seen at the decommissioned communications building. But upon locating the man, he appears to be in quite the state of distress, desperately trying to send an emergency communication to Earth. The sad truth is, he has all the more reason to do so, as hell quite literally breaks loose across the base. And then John was a zombie. After battling his way through Mars City, the Marine manages to establish contact with Sergeant Kelly, who is keeping track of a few squads fighting off the invasion. His new assignment is to link up with Bravo Team, who are heading for the communications tower with a transmission card vital to sending a distress signal to the UAC's fleet. Meanwhile, Counselor Swan argues with an eerily calm Dr. Betruger via Skype, who maintains that the situation is perfectly under control. Swan decides that a sudden attack of monsters from a different dimension is not the average workday accident, and decides to take matters into his own hands. The Marine constantly tails behind Swan and Campbell, encountering various hideous creatures on his journey, but before he can successfully link up with Bravo Team, the squad is ambushed by a group of demons. A lone survivor of Bravo Team does manage to evade Swan and Campbell, who are determined to stop the transmission from occurring, as the arrival of the fleet could cause the ships to be hijacked by the demonic forces. The Marine recovers the card successfully, and upon reaching communications, the player is given the choice of either sending or cancelling the transmission. Just gonna say it now, your choice doesn't affect the ending whatsoever. It only changes a few bits of dialogue here and there. Dr. Betruger soon reveals to the Marine that he has been orchestrating Hell's invasion on Mars, what a shock, and attempts to delay the Marine from reaching the Delta Complex, which is suspected to have been the source of the invasion all along. Apparently, the UAC had been conducting experimentation with teleporting right on the doorstep of Hell, but the situation worsens when it's revealed that Betruger had also stolen a device uncovered in the old dig site on Mars, nicknamed the Soul Cube. This glorified Rubik's Cube is an artifact which is fabled to be a weakness of the demonic forces. So, the only way to recover the Soul Cube is to enter Hell itself. But that's an obstacle that's easily surmounted, as not even Hell can chain up the badassery of the Doom Marine. Unfortunately, Hell no longer requires access to our world via the Delta portal. A second portal appears to have been traced back at the dig site where the Soul Cube was excavated. The Marine discovers a badly wounded Swan around the area, who informs him that Sergeant Kelly has turned. As in, turned into a tank. Don't you just hate it when your boss spontaneously becomes a tank? But Sarge can't do so much as tread on the Marine, so the next stop is at the old dig site. It is here where the Marine faces off against Hell's champion, the Cyber Demon. But after applying the Cube Root of Death to its face, the beast collapses and the Soul Cube finishes the job by closing the portal, thus ending the invasion. Shortly thereafter, the UAC fleet arrives, locating only a single survivor, and that's the Marine. Man, this guy seriously earned a vacation at this point. Now, whether or not a game series such as Doom warrants an actual story is really not for me to comment on. I personally didn't find it all that intrusive. In fact, I kind of like the way it was implemented, especially with the audio logs and PDA samples of emails and such. The cast of characters that the Marine interacts with don't necessarily have fully fleshed out personalities, but they're more than just tolerable in my book. But I think we can all stand in agreement here that the best part about Doom 3 is undoubtedly Dr. Betruger. The voice actor of this villain knew exactly what kind of role he was being assigned, and he gloriously exploits it by reaching levels of ham that are simply off the charts. Alright, now we can talk about the juicy bits. Doom 3 plays like your typical shooter game. You can move and jump about, push objects around with your shins, sprint, and use a very slight zoom by pressing the Z key. Your health and armor count sits on the lower left of the screen. Your health can be maxed at 100, while your armor can be increased by 25% of that. Health packs, first aid stations, and armor shards and vests are incredibly abundant across Mars, so you should have no problem patching yourself up. Gunplay demands two requirements of the player: basic aiming and reloading. There are no iron sights or zoom functions of any weapons you collect. There is only one thing you need to do, and that is pressing the mouse button. Doom 3 still keeps things nice and simple, although reloading is a mechanic new to the franchise. Every weapon with the exception of your melee options has a magazine or a clip which you should keep track of. Reloading takes very little time, but for some odd reason, the Marine will refuse to switch weapons if he is currently in the process of reloading one. As for the Marine's default running speed, it's a tad slow. You can break into a sprint by pressing down on the shift key. It is limited, however, indicated by this meter on the bottom left of the screen. I'm normally against sprinting meters in video games, but Doom 3's isn't too harmful. Your stamina refills fairly quickly, and most importantly, you're capable of using all available weapons while sprinting. You can gain a temporary boost of infinite stamina by collecting adrenaline shots, or by standing in hell for some odd reason. At the start of the game, you'll acquire a personal data assistant, which can be accessed by hitting tab. Throughout all of Mars base are doors which require security level clearances, which can be accessed by stealing other members' PDAs. Sure, it's unethical, but I seriously doubt Torso Boy here desperately needs it anymore. Using your PDA, you can download information from computer terminals, read other people's mail, you intrusive bastard, listen to audio logs, or watch video discs. It's nice to see that we haven't abandoned floppy disk technology in the year 2145. Oftentimes, you'll come across a storage cabinet, where obtaining a code for it usually involves listening to an audio log, or browsing through an email of a recently collected PDA. Storage cabinets contain plenty of useful items. Only in the Doomverse is where you can find a pack of hand grenades in a medical supplies cabinet. Doom 3 also contains plenty of secrets. There aren't officially any secret areas per se, but you can often locate hidden treasures by searching small nooks and crannies, or by interacting with less than obvious computer panels. Your exploration skills are called to attention, and I love it when a game rewards the player for being curious. Now, the lighting systems on Mars may occasionally malfunction, so you'll have to rely on your trusty flashlight to brighten up pitch black areas. The Marine is completely incapable of wielding both the flashlight and a weapon simultaneously. This was probably done to increase tensions. Can I just say, however, that I'm quite impressed with how far we've advanced with technology, as this bulky piece of junk never appears to run out of battery power. Survivors of the invasion can also be interacted with, who will offer their opinions on the current situation, give you access to locked areas of the base, or just assist you in unlocking storage cabinets. The fact alone that there are NPCs to interact with pleases me immensely. I think I just have a very low tolerance for horror games that prevent you from encountering any allies face to face. Even if these NPCs are only really capable of using up to 1 or 2 facial expressions, it's quite nice to see that I'm not alone in this place. On the rare occasion throughout the campaign, there may be some level hazards or moving pieces of machinery you'll have to avoid. These little sequences are spread out rather thinly, however. Most of the game treats you to a run-and-gun attitude, only having you diverge from the main path to collect a keycard or a PDA here and there. Just be on the lookout for explosive barrels. Red barrels explode upon contact with a bullet or a projectile, while yellow barrels first ignite for a couple of seconds before detonation. Mars itself is not inhabitable on the outer regions of the base, so any trek across the Martian surface will leave you with limited oxygen. You can keep this meter up by collecting oxygen tanks scattered around the area, but you're still encouraged to act swiftly and reach the nearest airlock before you begin taking damage. Now let's talk difficulties. There are 3 difficulty levels for you to choose from off the bat, and a 4th unlockable mode after completing the game on the 3rd skill level. In Recruit mode, the player takes 75% of enemy-based damage, and you'll encounter the least amount of enemies. Marine is the normal mode, where the monsters inflict 90% base damage, and you'll encounter a moderate amount of enemies. Veteran is the tried and true hard difficulty, where the demons dish out double the damage of Marine difficulty, and the enemy spawns are the nastiest. Nightmare mode is unlocked after completing the game on Veteran mode. Here, the player will take a whopping 350% damage dealt by enemies. All health packs are removed, and your health will constantly degenerate to 25. You do have access to the Soul Cube, however, but we'll talk about that later. The hellspawn of this game is composed of many familiar demons from the classic Doom titles, all of which have been given some pretty gruesome redesigns to match the theme of the game. Starting off, we have the basic zombies, trained to waddle towards you flailing their arms wildly. You've got normal zombies, fat zombies, speedy zombies, chainsaw zombies, zombies on fire, which inexplicably makes them more powerful, and then there are zombies with guns, which is what you should be properly terrified of. Zombie security guards, or ZSECs for short, are highly trained in the field of firearms, and will sometimes use basic cover tactics or strafing movements to avoid your gunfire. Pistol guards are significantly weak, while shotgun troops and machine gunners carry more of the brunt. There is also one ZSEC equipped with a riot shield to soak up damage. I'd recommend a dose of vitamin chainsaw to dispose of it. Probably the worst part about facing these enemies is simply the amount of recoil you suffer when you get shot. Next we have imps, who no longer look like zombified Wookiees. Imps are omnipresent in this game. Almost every level has at least 1 or 2 skulking about. An imp will cast fireballs at a steady rate, but they're also capable of crouching and lunging towards the player, which can be incredibly disorienting. New hellspawn includes the dual-headed maggot, a crossbreed of an imp and a wraith. Its strategy is to lurch towards the player and punch him in the face. A maggot might also decide to lunge like an imp, but this rarely seems to happen. Pinky demons, while slightly less common than the average mook, are speedy piles of flab. Do your best to keep away from their jaws. The Wraith is another new addition to Hell's army, capable of teleporting in and out of a visible plane. This doesn't really affect much, as they cannot strike unless they teleport back, so it's more of a glorified cloaking device than anything. The Wraith applies the technique of running towards the player and punching him in the face. To get ahead of the Marine, demons take to the skies in the form of the incredibly fragile Lost Souls. They behave exactly like their former counterparts.
Spiders! A giant legion of spiders!
Yep, Doom 3 simply wouldn't be labeled a horror game without some form of a giant arachnid. Trites and ticks are about as strong as a Lost Soul, only their attacks consist of leaping towards the player at a relatively close proximity. Trites are commonly found in flocks of 4 or 5 at a time. Ticks, on the other hand, are squeaky variations who attack prey in swarms. Straight from the depths of dinosaur hell, we see the returning cacodemons, or as I like to call them, chainsaw bait. These enemies soar about using indirect patterns and occasionally spit fireballs. They often act as miniature bullet sponges. The real bone shakers you'll have to keep an eye on are the Revenants, wielding double shoulder-mounted rocket launchers. Duck and cover is a good tactic of avoiding their projectiles, especially given the fact that these rockets have slight homing properties. Ah, kids, they grow up so fast. Cherubs are winged parasites who will leap towards the player and, you guessed it, punch him in the face. Fresh from the sewers comes the Mancubus, a rather proportional individual that devours bullets for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Their fireballs are best avoided by sidestepping. Zombie commandos are true elites, introduced about halfway throughout the game. Tentacle commandos will slap you silly unless you crouch at the second of their whip attack. Chain gun commandos, on the other hand, will destroy you, plain and simple. Aside from possessing more health than the average bear, chain gunners are extremely aggressive in their attacks. Remember how standard zombie security guards cause a needless amount of recoil? Chain gunners bring it in spades. Due to technical problems with demon corpses disintegrating upon contact with a large quantity of bullets, archviles are incapable of resurrecting dead monsters. That's the good news. The bad news is that they can summon seemingly infinite waves of demons unless you kill them first. Archviles take a very high priority in the field, but do not mistake them as harmless medics. If you get too close, they will engulf you in a sea of flames. And finally, we have the bruisers of the series, the Hell Knights. Think of Hell Knights as imps on steroids, and then some. While their agility is somewhat questionable in that regard, their fireballs are practically an instant kill. Even being caught in the splash damage can take a good chunk of your health away. Now, with all the hellspawn out of the way, let's cover our selection of weapons. The Marine is capable of punching the lights out of anyone who gets up close and personal, which is about as effective as slapping a guy in the face with a trout. Your bare hands only really become useful if there's a berserker power-up in the vicinity. Hell, your damn flashlight is more powerful than the fisticuffs. The real melee weapon is the chainsaw. Now, I know what you're thinking. What kind of idiot orders a shipment of chainsaws for a desolate planet like Mars? The answer is, shut up and be glad that some idiot ordered a shipment of chainsaws for a desolate planet like Mars. Powered by an infinitely functioning internal combustion engine, the chainsaw severs the flesh and bones of demons in mere seconds, making it a powerful option when guns won't offer the satisfaction. The security pistol is the first firearm you'll collect, with a 12-shot magazine and pixel-perfect accuracy. The pistol is best regarded as an ammunition conservation sidearm, although the bullets it fires are more powerful than the clip-loaded machine gun rounds. To inflict maximum damage against a target, aim for the head. This rule applies to all bullet-based weapons in this game. But if the pistol were the appetizer of the meal, the pump-action shotgun acts as the main course, being enough to feed any demon a face full of pellets. The shotgun has a capacity for 8 shells before reloading, but the Marine allegedly reloads 2 shells at a time, which further increases its reliability. Obviously, this is not a weapon for the field of long range. The trick is to get within hugging distance of an enemy before blasting it away. The MG88 Enforcer is the standard issue military equipment of the UAC, a new member of the weapons family in Doom. The machine gun has a 60 bullet clip and a steady rate of fire, but it suffers from mild inaccuracy at a distance. To counter this, the Mach 2 chain gun serves as the behemoth of all machine guns, loaded with an ammo build capacity of 60 shots. While the recoil further increases bullet spread at a distance, it delivers a volley of 30 caliber rounds, doubly powerful compared to the machine gun's bullets. Twist-action hand grenades can be lobbed around corners or across short distances, which will bounce around and explode upon contact with any target. Bear in mind that this also includes yourself.
Ooh, it's a cool bluey plasma-y thingy.
Right you are. No futuristic shooter is complete without a sci-fi weapon. The plasma rifle is a great medium between the available machine guns, dealing more than average damage and containing a cell storage capacity of 50 shots. The plasma rounds do have travel time, but the projectiles are larger, thereby increasing the chances of destroying enemy fireballs or rockets. Next, we have the awesome power of the rocket launcher, easily my all-time favorite weapon acquired in this game. A 5-shot magazine loads into the chamber for an express delivery of high-powered rockets, perfect to use against big lugs like Revenants, Commandos, and Archviles. And then there's the UAC's pride and joy, the BFG 9000. Designed as an experimental piece of equipment, the BFG utilizes the combined power of cell energy and a computer chip which is coded to distinguish between allied and enemy forces, thus inflicting damage only on subjects identified as hostile. The BFG is a charge-based weapon powered by its own exclusive cell type. Spamming the BFG's 4 shots is worthless. You're encouraged to charge the weapon for about 2 or 3 seconds to inflict maximum damage against a single target, or a large horde of them. The BFG is easily the most powerful weapon, but we're not finished yet. There's one final weapon which we need to cover, and that is the artifact that was dug up on Mars itself. The Soul Cube works as a pocket medic. It must be charged by killing up to 5 enemies before it can be thrown. When used, the Soul Cube will fly towards the previously determined target and instantly kill it. And it will additionally drain the life force of said enemy, returning it to the Marine as a complete health refill. Alright, let's take a look at the game's presentation value. Doom 3 is powered by id Tech 4, as mentioned early on in this video. This game was very renowned for its presentation by many critics, praised for its graphical developments, NPC animations, and general atmosphere. The visual effects and dynamic lighting really add to the charm of this game's haunted environments, although 1 or 2 sections of rapidly blinking lights aren't what I'd call pleasing to look at. Still, as a whole, Doom 3 simply looks fantastic. It doesn't succumb to a constant color palette. There are multiple colors that reflect each environment. There are still a couple of areas where the textures look like absolute garbage, clashing with the higher quality ones on the adjacent wall next to them, and I can only assume that this was intentional due to graphical limitations that the average PC could handle at the time. And if I'm wrong, well, I'm sure that there are mods that can fix that. Oh, just a note, Doom 3 does not have an in-game selection of resolutions higher than 1600 by 1200, but you can force the game to display a predefined resolution in the configuration file. Special thanks to this blog post by PC Mechanic, it taught me how to get the game running on a 1920 by 1080 resolution. The sound design is also a key point of interest. Doom 3 takes advantage of ambience wherever it can, to raise tensions in the current situation, or to give the player a good startle. This game technically does have a soundtrack, but most of it is used for cutscenes or menus. Just keep an ear out for those subtle bits of ambience. I also adore the sounds that all of the weapons make. Everything feels like it has total kick to it. The game has multiplayer, but on the PC version of the game, it's limited to versus only, including Deathmatch, Team Deathmatch, Last Man Standing, and Tournament mode. I personally don't have an interest in any of it, although I have read that the Xbox version of this game, despite its dead online support, does have a 2-player cooperative mode for the single-player campaign. Doom 3 has a modding community, but sad to say, I haven't messed around with many mods in my time. Probably the most popular mods would be the Seek mod and the Absolute HD mod, which are major graphical overhauls of the original game, with many customizable options. Okay, I'm nearly finished gushing over this game, but unfortunately, Doom 3 still has its flaws which need to be addressed. Now, as a whole, I think Doom 3 is a fundamentally good shooter, but there are probably a lot of hardcore Doom fans that can attest to this point. Doom 3 doesn't feel like a Doom game. You see, I don't personally have a gripe with the series taking a new direction, so long as it's made enjoyable, yet the small voice in the back of my mind still tells me that if one were to take a few creative liberties and change a couple of trademark names like Doom, UAC, Cacodemon, and so forth, then this game would be a bit of a far cry from Doom. Sure, the resemblance to Doom would still be there, but it would likely serve as more of a paid homage rather than a direct sequel. Secondly, there's Doom attempting to be a horror game. It tries desperately to scare the pants off of the player on a frequent basis, but it quickly becomes a repetitious case of an enemy popping out of a closet or around a corner. And the whole fire and brimstone, pentagram stuff, that's just off the wall cheesy and cliched. Hell, the game becomes self-aware of that at one point. To give credit where credit is due, there are 1 or 2 scares which may catch you off guard, but I won't spoil what they are. Moving on, my third complaint involves the selection of bosses, which are quite simple in design, the key concept for 2 of them being, shoot at it until it stops breathing. The Vajri is the first boss you'll encounter, who uses telekinesis to throw spiky eggs at your face, which are surprisingly difficult to avoid. Apart from that, it's a giant spider with boobs, what else do you want me to say? Hell's Guardian is more puzzle-oriented, but exposing its weak point can be somewhat tedious at times, having to first eliminate the seekers that fly around shrieking at you. Sarge is a tank, but more importantly, he's armed with a BFG 9000. He's probably the most impressive boss in this game, but that's not really saying much, since you can effectively rid of half of his health by using the Soul Cube against him. And then the Cyber Demon, the final boss that gets a ton of hype with this establishing cutscene, can only be defeated by using the Soul Cube. That's so anticlimactic. And finally, there's this. The amount of times where the developers placed a very silent, crouching imp behind a door is simply not funny. This isn't a good method of increasing tensions, this is just being a dick level designer. All ranting aside, let's talk briefly about the remastered edition of this game. Doom 3 saw an official remaster in Bethesda's Doom 3 BFG edition, released on October 16th of 2012. A package which also includes the first two Doom titles, along with two expansion pack campaigns for the third entry, Resurrection of Evil and Lost Mission. The BFG edition includes graphical improvements, a checkpoint system within levels, and a shoulder-mounted flashlight, probably added in response to those who complained about not having duct tape on Mars. Doom 3 may not have been the sequel that Doom fans were probably expecting. It's a much slower game in comparison to the fast action antics of the original Doom, but again, I'll reiterate, this game is a fundamentally solid shooter, and it's important to keep an open mind when a series steps in a different direction than before. The visual design is appealing, the gameplay is well thought out, the sound design is top quality. It's a perfect single-player shooter to add to your collection. Doom 3 offers you a challenging and tense single-player experience with more than enough ammunition for practically all of your weapons. The original version of Doom 3 offers about a 10-hour campaign at the mere price of $11, and that's a pretty sweet deal in my book. To any hardcore Doom fans, I would only recommend this game if you're looking for a bit of homework to catch up on. But to anyone who is flexible with more than one or two styles of shooters, I encourage you to have a gander at this one. Anyway, we're not fully finished with Doom 3 just yet. In the next video, we will be reviewing Doom 3, Resurrection of Evil. So, thank you all very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day or evening.